a senior advisor and attorney. Alex Wilkes is here, along with Trump 2020 Campaign Advisory Board member Jason Meister, and America in the Age of Trump co-author and Fox News contributor. And sometimes we're on Outnumbered together because we are awesome. Jessica Charlotte is here. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
And glorious Ash Wednesday. Solemn one as well to you.
Thank you.
My dear. So let's talk a little bit about this because it is pretty easy to condemn anti-Semitism. And it is pretty clear through some of the past statements, especially that Congresswoman Omar has made, that she's got a real problem with this issue. So what is the appropriate response? Because it seems like there are some Democrats who really want to forcefully condemn this language, these stereotypes, and these tropes, but then others who want to soften and rationalize the intent of some of her phrases.
I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz was spot on there that this is an education issue. When Congresswoman Omar used the common anti-Semitic trope of it's all about the Benjamins, she pled innocence on it, said I didn't know that that's what it meant, and that was the context that it's used in. I apologize. I actually thought that was worse than the dual allegiance comment that she made last week. But what the problem is now, we've heard from Rashida Tlaib and also from Debbie Dingell, who has a congressional district in Michigan, that it does need to go beyond this, and when it needs to be about anti-Muslim rhetoric. We hear there's a lot of Islamophobia as well in this country, and so now what we're discussing is a resolution that would condemn all bigotry. Obviously, that is a worthwhile endeavor, but you do get into the same debate that we had about the Black Lives Matter movement versus the All Lives Matter movement, and we are speaking specifically right now about anti-Semitism, which has been an issue within the progressive left.
Yes.
So I would be in favor of a resolution specifically about anti-Semitism and then a broader one about bigotry. I don't want to do the whataboutisms, but you know there are many people on the right who have an issue with this. We were talking about it earlier.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is doing the same thing. She's like, well, what about anti-blackness? It's like they're
all awful.
Yes.
And we can have individual resolutions for all of them, but make it a teachable moment.
If you try and send out a blanket resolution that covers everything, it almost covers nothing, and this is too important to gloss over by making it too broad. It's tough for Democrats because they want to make this about the election in large part about the president being racist. But that's tough to do if you're not properly condemning the anti-Semitism of one of your freshman members.
That's right. I mean, the Democrats have a real big problem, Kennedy. They've basically, fascism and anti-Semitism have found a home in the far left. And unfortunately, the far left is now making it mainstream. I find it repulsive as an American Jew. And I actually think anti-Semitism is an antiseptic way of describing it. Omar seems to me to be a Jew hater and to hate Israel. And she said this has happened multiple times. I think it's atrocious, and I think she's got to go.
Well, I think who's the fascist? I'm just curious.
Who's the fascist?
You said that the left has an anti-Semitism.
Well, fascism used to be on the far right, like Nazi Hitler, and now it's on the far left.
But how? I mean, who's
I guess you could make the claim that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, if you don't vote with us, if you vote with Republicans, you are on a list.
Look at college campuses. They're shutting down the right. There's no freedom of speech. That's fascism. That's fascism.
There are certainly freedom of speech on college campuses. If you want to point to the fact that Ben Shapiro needs security and can't do his speeches sometimes, that's very different than using a term that Republicans are very upset when we use to talk about Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and people who actually have said things that harken back to things that Hitler said himself. So I think fascists should be off the table.
All right, fascism. It's somewhere. It might not be on the table, but this is a problem.
It's on the right side of the table.
Well, it's all over the table. I mean, that's a problem. And if you want to make it about the right side of the table, then you got to clear up the left side of the table, which the Democrats are having a really tough time doing. My question with Omar is, you know, when in 2012, when she tweeted about Jews hypnotizing people, and then recently talking about how it's all about the Benjamins, and there are pro-Israel lobbies that are essentially buying the allegiance of members of Congress, not just support. And that's a very clear line that she was crossing. What happens the next time? Because there is going to be a next time.
Well, I think that it's a pattern here with her. I mean, and that's why I think that the apology sort of ring insincere to me, is because it keeps happening, and it's one.
She didn't apologize for the dual allegiance.
Yes, but in the previous apologies, you know, it's been stereotype after stereotype, followed by sort of these flimsy apologies. And so I think that you know, what the Democrats are doing with this resolution, by especially watering it down, by including other, you know, forms of hate into it, is that they're really trying to sort of sweep this under the rug a little bit, and and to diffuse the issue, when I think that for the Democratic establishment, this is sort of a day of reckoning. The younger part of the party, younger liberals, are not as supportive of Israel and of Jews as the Democratic establishment, has put itself out there to be. And I think that the fact that, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is defending her colleague in this is really illustrative of that fact.
Well, she's defending some of the comments of Congresswoman Omar, but at the same time, she's not condemning Nicolas Maduro. And you could argue that his tactics are very fascist.
Oh, totally
He's
fascist.
a dictator.
And there's a Jeremy Corbyn problem.
Yes.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's relations person said we didn't know.
There is a problem of perceived anti-Semitism in the progressive left, and they really have to do a better
Well, you
job.
you need to be clear about Israel as a country and the Jewish people and the policies that Israel has implemented, what goes on the Gaza Strip, if you do want to make that case. And that's what I think the left really needs to do.
And there is a case to be made.
There is,
certainly
absolutely.
There's always a case to be made when it's made rationally and agnostically, but unfortunately here, that is not the case.
Not the case.
All right, well, the panel is going to return a little bit later. Since she's out, the panel is back. Alexander Wilkes, Jason Meister.
We're going to get it.
I know. I think of Lemmy Kilmister, and that's tough. And Jessica Tarlov, of course. So I think Democrats, by and large, they heard Hillary wasn't running like, whew, finally, moving on. New page.
Well, it wasn't
Clean
just that.
slate.
It was that's been the case for a very long time. And then we keep going back to this narrative that the right wing obviously loves. And you just think there has to be a definitive no-go on this. I understand her frustration, which apparently is rooted in the fact that people talk about Biden, who has failed running for president before, or John Kerry, who failed, and everyone is fine with them being in the fray, but it's a problem that she is. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, she did get dealt some bad cards. She dealt herself a couple bad ones, too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it's got to stop. She is a prolific fundraiser. She is going to be a great surrogate for a lot of candidates, as she was in 2018. No, you can feel that way about her, but the Democratic base
It's not me. I know there are a lot of candidates who are like, maybe not. Maybe I don't want to be tethered with that.
The point is, if you wait for the Mueller report, we don't know if that's coming out tomorrow or it's coming out 6 months before the election, once we're already full in the swing of primaries up to the conventions. That can't
Probably sooner rather than later, but it's interesting that Hillary Clinton is waiting for the Mueller report because a lot of that rests on the Steele dossier. So she wants to know what her money bought.
Right.
Like, did she buy herself the president's impeachment?
Kennedy, why are we talking about 2020? She still hasn't accepted the results of the 2016
Neither
election.
has the president. He's still making up stuff
Come on,
about
she
his
says
vote
she's
totals.
waiting for the Mueller report. She paid for a fake dossier. Mueller. Sorry for saying Mueller. She paid for the fake dossier with the DNC. She colluded with Russia, and the whole thing. She knows it's a complete hoax.
Yeah.
She knows it. It's a witch hunt, and she still has yet to accept the results of the 2016 election.
No, and she really thinks that if he is unseated, that she will be president.
But look,
she truly believes it. She believes that. She wakes up every day and is like,
unfortunately,
it's like
the Democrats have gone so far to the left, I should say to the left, that
is where I'm sitting.
There's no place for her in the Democratic Party anymore either.
No, there's not.
And
if she painted herself as a progressive, she's not.
That's what we have.
She's not. I want to bring Alex in. She's not moderate enough. She's just not. If someone is going to set themselves apart from this far left field, it's going to be someone like Joe Biden.
Sure. I mean, so America Rising actually wrote the 5,000-page research book on Hillary Clinton ahead of the 2016 election. So should they want us to dust that off again, we'd be happy to. But what we found in those pages
I think Republicans are more excited about the thought of her running than Democrats.
Oh, absolutely. And because the same vulnerabilities that existed in the 2016 cycle would exist today, but only exacerbated because, you have like the speaking fees to Goldman Sachs.
Yes.
We know more. And that's just not going to play well with this progressive base that's looking for something different. So I think that,
that new car smell. Let me be clear. We got more with the panel after the break.